Hey everybody, how are you doing? Super excited to have you with me today. We're going to be doing a deep dive today about the house flipping process from the very beginning to the very end. This is one of those you're going to want to be taking notes or watch this a second time because I'm not going to hold anything back and we're going to be going through so much of it. But first off, so happy to have so many of you with us today. So, Pretty Mar, thanks for being here. We got Tom in the house. Jose's with us. Darius is with us. We've got James that's here. James, thanks for the shout out. You wouldn't miss it. I appreciate it. Angel is here, and there's a bunch more of you here that haven't said hello yet, but I'm so excited for so many of you to be with me today because today we are going to be talking about the house flipping process from beginning to end. Roche is in the house as well. Hello, Roche. Thanks for being with us. But this is going to be from beginning to end, nuts to bolts. So what you're going to learn today, our property finding, if you're not with us every single week, we do a property finding tip of the week every week. And today we're going to be talking about pre-foreclosures. And then we're going to get into this main event, which is the 13 steps of doing a fix and flip. Then we're going to talk about setting a map for your success, what you need to do. Then we're going to jump into what are some things people don't take into account when they are getting started. So for today's agenda, we're doing our welcomes and updates right now. We'll jump into some real estate news. Next, we'll have that finding tip of the week I was just talking about. Then our topic of the week, which is going to be our 13 steps from beginning to end. Then we're going to give our free t-shirt giveaway, one of our most popular segments. And then I'll give away a free tool of the week. Every single week I like to give away something that you can actually use and something that you can put to use right now. Okay, boy, we got a bunch more people. Let's see, Jose's here. Okay, got it. Roche's here. Trice is with us. Hello, thanks for being with us. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial moves, you'll want to consult with a real estate professional, attorney, CPA, or other professional in a specific subject matter. Everybody's situation is different. There is no one size fits all. DHM may receive payments on the show for sponsors, guests, in the forms of books, items, giveaways, discounts, other remediations. As with anything in life, results come from education, following a system, hard work, and determination to follow through until the very end. Welcome to so many of you. If you have not already, please give me your first name and the city and state where you're investing. Follow the great example of these wonderful people that have already done it. However, I would like to have you tell us where you're from, kind of like Roche did. From Atlanta is where she is investing, and appreciate her being with us. So, Prede, Mari, Tom, Jose, Darius, James, Angel, let's see here, Patricia, who else is here in the house with us? Trice, all you guys that haven't yet told me where you're investing, please type it in the comments. I would love to know, just like Ray from Chicago just said. And there's a whole bunch of you that haven't even said hello yet, so make sure you say hi. I want to give some shout outs there. We got Kyle from Charleston, South Carolina in the house. We've got Jose from Georgia with us. Thank you so much for being with us. We've got David from North Carolina. Keep them coming, guys. Give us your name and where you are investing. Trice is in Covington, Georgia. All right, and if you are not watching this live, every single Tuesday, if you're watching a recorded copy, every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do a live cast. It's all about real estate investing, and I'd love to have you on the live cast. And the great thing about a live cast is you can ask questions. Like right now, if Trice from Covington, Georgia wanted to ask me a question, he could say, "Hey, Ryan," and he could put it in the comments here, and I'm going to answer that question to the best of my ability. So that's one of the big benefits you have of joining us live. The other big benefit you get is we do a t-shirt giveaway every single week. Now, you can be watching the recorded video as well. But every single week we give away a t-shirt. At the end of the live cast, we'll announce the winner. That winner is for last week's live cast. So starting the beginning today until next live cast is where we'll decide who is going to be the t-shirt winner, and we'll announce that next week. So if you do become the t-shirt winner, we'd really love you to take a photo. And I think Roche still owes us a photo. Post your pic on our Facebook page wearing your DHM shirt. Our Facebook is facebook.com/DoHardMoney, and you can post your pictures there, and we would love to see you. So if you want to win a shirt, but probably first I should show you like all the different shirts we've got. So we've got a few different designs and styles. It's just going to depend on your size and what we've got in stock. But this is our Flipping Legend shirt. This is our 3/4 sleeve, so kind of a baseball shirt if you like that. This is one of our favorites. This is, I made it through rehab. It looks really funny when you wear that at the bar. That's one of our shirts that our project managers love to have. This is our summertime Flippin' Legend shirt that we've got going there. And then don't forget the original, the first, is our I Flippin' Did It, which is one of our big ones that we send out. So we'll send one of those shirts out to you. And so what we are looking for, whoops, here we go, is great questions. Somebody's gonna leave positive comments, have high interaction. Where are our slides here? What's going on? That's not good. Let's get the slides back here. Okay, there we go. So we're looking for somebody that's going to ask great questions, have high engagement, comment on our recorded video. And based upon all those things, we'll determine one person, and that person we will choose as our winner of the week. And like I said, we've already selected a winner of the week for this last week, and we'll be announcing them at the end of today's live cast. So stay tuned to see if you're the winner. And if not, give us some great comments, ask some great questions, and be a part of this so that you can be the winner on this next week's live cast for our t-shirt winner of the week. Now, if you like these live casts like Roche does and like James does and so many others, and you want to see these continue, I really need your help. One of the big things is we're looking to gain more subscribers, and currently we have 5,540 subscribers. Boy, I remember the day when we just had a few hundred subscribers, so it's amazing to think there's over 5,500 people that are watching these, and I really appreciate it. My goal is to get to 5,725 by the end of July. So I'm looking to gain another 185 subscribers. So if you right now, if you're currently not a subscriber to our Do Hard Money, please hit that subscribe button and type in the comments that you're my newest subscriber, and I will give a shout out to you and a big thank you to you for being our newest subscriber. And one of the great things is for our subscribers, I put together a video every single day. It's usually a 5 to 7 minute video, sometimes 2 minutes, sometimes 10, but just a few minute video on one specific question. And one of the great things is we call these Just Ask Ryan videos. If you've got a question you'd like to have me answer, if you watch one of these videos and type it in the comments, I'll put it on my list of videos to create, and I'll put a video together just for you and give you a shout out for doing that. So again, we've got different videos like this one, short sales, pros and cons. Should I manage my own rental properties? If you've got questions like that, hit that in the comments of these videos and let me know. We'll put some videos together just like this. So please, if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button in YouTube, and one of the best things you can do is hit the bell notification, because it will help you remember when we're live casting in case you forget. And occasionally I'll do a live casting impromptu, and you'll be able to get notified and take advantage of that as well. Our YouTube channel is Do Hard Money, and as always, I love for you to leave a recording on the video. But the best thing you can possibly do is tell somebody else about it. I really, really appreciate it. So I've got a few shout outs because some of you are new subscribers. So Anthony says, just subscribed, need my login information. I'm not sure if I can help you with the login information, but Anthony, thank you for being one of our newest subscribers. Appreciate you being with me. Nix1, I remember you. Thanks for being with us, man. Really appreciate it. Replying, Ramon, marketing is good right now. Obviously, depending on the area, my area is very profitable. I live close to an industrial area that's growing more and more every year. Ramon, where in the country are you investing? Love to hear about that. Larry says hi. Larry, thanks for being with us. Let's see here. Heavy. Oh, hey, awesome. I love it. Who else is going to be our next subscriber to our YouTube channel? Put in the comments. Let me know. I want to give a shout out to you. Okay, guys, I need a drink. We're rocking and rolling here. Okay, so I talk about a tool that I give away every single week, something that you can use, something you can put in practice. Today, I'm going to be giving you our contractor estimate. I've got to tell you, we have endless hours and many years we put into this contractor estimate, and this thing will literally save you money. I can assure you it will save you money from misunderstanding and miscommunication and time and all kinds of things that happen. So this is our contractor estimate sheet, just kind of a little overview of it. We will give you a link where you can download this entire thing at the end of the live cast today. So you want to stay tuned to the end so you can get a copy to that link. Ramon, Luzerne County. What state are you in there, Ramon? Love to know. Thanks for the update on that. Okay, let's jump into a real estate market update. So what we're saying here is, what is happening in the market? Like Ramon said, things are going crazy in his town. We want to talk about what's happening in the marketplace as an overall. So recently, Realtor.com just reported the hottest markets for real estate right now. And ranking among those, number one is Manchester, New Hampshire. We've got Concord. We've got Burlington, North Carolina, Portland, Maine, Johnson City, Tennessee, Rochester, New York, Topeka, Kansas, Fort Wayne, Indiana. We've got Columbus, Ohio. We've got Jefferson City, Missouri. We've got Lafayette, Indiana, Elkhart, Indiana, Eureka, California, Sonner, Michigan, Worcester, Massachusetts. We've got Vallejo, California, Raleigh, North Carolina, Rank, Kansas. We've got Pennsylvania and Colorado Springs, Colorado. What I'm interested in is what are any of you living in these cities? I'd be interested in that. And the other interesting thing here is look at the median price range on these. You've got stuff ranging from as low as, I think the lowest on here is 135,000, it looks like, on up to about 415. One of the things you want to make sure you're doing is investing under that FHA price range, which is really important. So according to Realtor.com's chief economist, most of the markets we're seeing a lot of interest are in the sweet spots. They're in the mid-sized cities. They're more affordable, yet still close to those urban areas where there are lots of jobs. All right, pending home sales surge higher, but economists warn that the housing market could soon hit bottom. This is really interesting. Okay, Larry, I own rental properties. That's awesome. I hope they're doing well for you. We've got Ramon is in Pennsylvania State. Really appreciate it. Let's see. Thanks for being a member. Oh, fantastic. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. Pending home sales rose 8% in May compared to April. According to the National Association of Realtors, all regions saw an uptick by 15.5%. The South saw the smallest uptick at 4.9%. Still, economists generally anticipate that the second half of 2021 will see a slowdown in real estate transactions. And here's why. Mortgage applications are down. And so the latest mortgage application data from the Mortgage Bankers Association would back up that prediction. The trade group's index that measure the volume of applications for loans to purchase homes was down 17% from a year ago for the same week. So in June 25th, we saw a decline of 6%. But what we're basically saying here is we're seeing less mortgage applications, which could result in more of a slowdown down as time comes. Well, I don't have a crystal ball, but this is some predictions that we're looking at. The average loan size for the total purchase applications increase, indicating that first-time homebuyers who typically get smaller homes are likely getting squeezed out of the market. So this is the other thing we're seeing, fewer applications, and some of that is these first-time homebuyers just can't afford and can't compete. And so they're saying, I'm just going to have to wait and see what happens. As housing booms begin to fizzle, weekly mortgage demand falls by 7%. Same thing we were just talking about. Mortgage demand is falling down 6.9%, according to Mortgage Bankers Association. This is the lowest level in almost a year and a half. Now, I don't think you need to be too scared about this. I think what's going to happen is this crazy market we're going to get in is going to start to normalize. That doesn't necessarily mean prices are going to fall out of the sky. I don't believe that's going to be the case. Pending home sales sink as the housing market falls back to earth. An indicator of existing home sales fell in April, suggesting that the housing market could be cooling in the face of home prices. Pending home sales dropped 4.4% in April compared to March, according to the National Association of Realtors. On an annual basis, pending home sales were up 52%. So we've got to take all that with a grain of salt. But before I do, we've got a big thank you to go out to Hillary Smith, one of our newest subscribers. Hillary, thank you for being our newest subscriber to Do Hard Money. We'd love to see more of you as well. So hit that subscribe button and post it so I can give a big shout out. And who knows, that might be the difference of you getting a t-shirt sent or being our t-shirt winner of the week. Okay, so this is nothing to panic about, though. We're basically seeing values come back to earth. Contracts are approaching pre-pandemic levels after the big surge due to lack of sufficient supply of affordable houses. The upper end market is still moving sharply and inventory is more plentiful there. According to the Wall Street Journal, in tight housing markets, thousands of homes are reserved for certain buyers. Are you guys familiar with this? Have you heard this before? It's called pocket listings. Real estate agents do something kind of interesting where they bypass the public market. These are private sales known as pocket listings or whisper listings. They've been around for many years. Pocket listings accounted for 3% of sales on average in March, which is up from 2.6% from March 2020. A pocket listing basically means I get with a seller as an agent. I say, let me have the listing and either let me get a first crack for my buyers on that before it goes on the MLS, or they're not interested in putting it on the MLS. They're filling out the market and they're saying, if you can get a buyer that will pay this, I'll be willing to sell my house, but I don't want to have it on the multiple listing. And those are called pocket listings. Basically, the realtor's keeping it in their pocket and can pull it out at any time if they so choose to. All right, Fox Business says there's when the housing market will cool off. Experts predict that the real estate market won't slow down until late autumn, and even then home prices will remain high, according to Dr. Lawrence Yun, the chief economist from the National Association of Realtors. By then, more construction homes will be coming into the market, even out supply. For those who are waiting, more choices may be available, but home prices and mortgage rates are likely to be a little higher. So this is kind of interesting because if we see this slowdown, are we going to see higher prices or are they going to start to level off a little bit? I tend to think we're going to see some leveling, but it really comes down to what the supply and demand turns out to be. All right. This is just something we want to be keeping our eyes on, guys. But Toronto, which is over the border, home prices are slowing down as well. Home sales are 12.7% down to the prior month. And while the first 3 months of the year were full bidding wars, soaring prices, and mad scramble, Toronto's real estate broker Wynn says she's seen some conditions actually start to cool. All right, Rashay, no, haven't heard about that, but finding too many houses that need extensive repairs. Interesting. And so, Rashay, those might be great properties to wholesale. If it's more repairs than you want to do, they may be a great property to wholesale. Something to keep in mind. Let's see here. Craig Smith is in the house. Thanks for being with us, Craig. Toronto's real estate market remains hot, but shows signs of cooling, while the pace and price growth could moderate in coming months. Home prices will likely continue on an upward trend, said the release. Okay, this is really important news, especially for you general contractors or people that are in the middle of rehabs or wanting to do rehabs. We're seeing lumber prices start to cool down. Prices went down 40% in June. It's the biggest monthly drop on record. Well, yeah, because they had the biggest increase of all time. So the great lumber bubble of 2021 has popped. Earlier this year, lumber prices exploded due to the combination of reduced supply amid mill shutdowns and surging demand for new, improved homes. At one point, the lumber shortage led to the average price of a new single-family home increasing by $36,000, according to the National Association of Builders. Basically, the idea here is if you bought a house a year before and you're buying the same house now, it would be $36,000 more just in lumber, not including anything else for price going up or anything else like that, just in lumber. That's a staggering amount, especially if you're talking about first-time home buyer properties. Next, Motley Fool talks about how to survive inflation. There's 3 successful ways investors do that. Number 1 is precious metals, gold and silver. Number 2 is real estate. And number 3 is high quality stocks. These have been good for inflationary pressures. Inflation basically means what cost you $1 yesterday is going to cost you more today for the exact same thing. The same product is costing you more money simply because of the inflationary causes. And so you're trying to offset that. Okay, Forbes says what we know about change to lead rules and how real estate lending rules and what real estate professionals should be preparing for you. Do I have any real estate agents in the house with me today? If so, type it in the comments. And do I have any lenders? Do I have any mortgage lenders? If so, type that in the comments. I'd love to know. But one of the things that happened back in March is Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae announced that they're going to be buying fewer second home investment mortgages. So recent amendments to the senior preferred stock purchase agreement with the Treasury basically said that they can only purchase a maximum of 7% of single-family home mortgages that are second homes or investment properties. So they've got to be very careful with that. All right, we've got a Keller Williams agent in the house. Larry, thanks for being with us, man. I really appreciate it. Remind me, Larry, where you're at. Where you're an eight? Oh, there you are, Larry Edwards. Yes. Okay, Saget. No, that's where your rentals are. Where are you investing at? Where are you at, Larry? Love to know. Buyers who are already pre-qualified by a lender shouldn't be shocked to find out the possible surge or even loan denial after getting their contract accepted or going under contract. We've got to be prepared for this, guys. Conventional lending is still offered, but it's going to start being offered as a premium at a higher amount. Okay, guys, let's get right into this. This is our property finding tip of the week. Every week I want to have something of a way that you can find properties right now. Okay, let's do this. Property finding. What I want to talk today about is pre-foreclosures. You see, we've had this moratorium on foreclosures for so long. We know there's a lot of mortgages that are in trouble, and so eventually, hopefully sooner than later, we'll start to see these coming where they could be available. Now, the banks are going to have to start doing some foreclosures at some point once they're allowed to. But what we can do to help the situation out is help the homeowners and actually buy those properties so they don't have to go into foreclosure. This process is called pre-foreclosure. And what it basically means is foreclosure is the process that a bank takes the property back, where they take their asset back. Basically, when a loan happens, there's a note, which is a promise to pay. I owe you this, I will pay you. This is the interest rate in those terms. And then there's the mortgage or the trust deed. The mortgage or the trust deed attaches that note, and it takes that note and secures it against the property, which is called a securitized loan. Unlike a credit card, which would be an unsecuritized loan because it's against nothing. So that mortgage or that trust deed goes against the property. A foreclosure basically is the bank taking back the property so that they can liquidate it to get their money back because they lent based upon the property. So a foreclosed property is once the process is actually completed. So a pre-foreclosure is a property that's in default but has not yet been foreclosed on. A foreclosed property is when the bank actually now owns the property. The process is complete. If you've got questions on that, guys, type it in the chat because I am here to help you out. Raymond says, not down here. Lumber prices are still high. Like a 4x8 plywood is 84 bucks. That is insane. I got a couple of 4x8 plywoods you can have. Come by and pick them up, Ramon. It probably won't be worth the gas money getting here, but I've kind of been holding on to them, do a little project of my own. So yeah, that's just crazy. 84 bucks. An REO is real estate owned. This means the bank owns the property, also known as a bank-owned home. Okay, foreclosure is a process. It starts with an owner being late on loan payments. At some point, if the borrower continues to be late, the bank will file a notice of default, or a lis pendens. This notifies the entire world that the loan is in default. That's on public record, so everybody knows that that property is in trouble, which allows for other people to come and say they owe me money as well and file against it. This is required so other creditors can be made aware. For example, if there's a second loan on the property, they would need to know that the borrower's behind on the first loan to give them time to decide what to do. Again, this is public information, meaning everyone has access to it, which means you can have access to it as well and start going after those properties. That's what you've got to realize with this. So then what happens is there's a notice of sale or an auction. Once the notice of default or lis pendens is filed, the bank can then file a notice of sale. Now, there's a waiting period for the bank to do that. It's different in every single state, but there's a notice of sale or a notice of auction that is then placed on the property if it continues. This says that on this certain date at this time, we're going to then auction the property. Now let's talk about the auction itself. So we've got the auction. This is where anyone can come and bid on the property. The bank will typically start the bid about what's owed on the property. Now they could go less, or they can go up to what they're owed with interest and fees and everything else. If nobody else bids, the bank then becomes the owner of the property. Because they had the opening bid, they end up owning the property for that. If somebody else bids higher, they can end up owning the property, or the bank can outbid them until the bank gets everything back that they're supposed to, and any bid higher than that, then this new third party would end up owning the property. Okay, in most states, there's cash due 24 hours after the winning bid, meaning if somebody bid $500,000, they would need $500,000 in cash the next day. In addition, at the auction, they typically have to put $5,000 to $10,000 in earnest money is what they've got to come up with. So we don't really recommend bidding at foreclosure sales like this. And there's a few reasons for this. Number one, you can't get inside the property. You can't go knock on the door and say, hey, do you mind if I take a look at the house? The homeowners usually does not want you to do that. And they're kind of pissed off that they're getting foreclosed on anyway. So that's something to be aware of. Now, number two, it's very hard to get title insurance, meaning you really can't get title insurance on these properties. And I have seen people buy a second mortgage or bid on a second mortgage they thought was a first mortgage and be out a ton of money and have nothing to show for it other than a second lien, which isn't going to do them much good because the first lien's in default anyway. Okay, but we do recommend going after pre-foreclosure property. So this is prior to the entire foreclosure process. Those are ones that we want to be going after. So you're like your notice of defaults or your notice of sales. Those are the pre-foreclosure process that you're going to want to be going after. Now, there's pros and there's cons to both of these, going after pre-foreclosure or going after notice of default or going after notice of sales. So let's talk a little bit about these. Notice of default. This is early. Some people may think they'll get it taken care of. They bury their head in the sand. I'm not going to worry about this. But you can start to get a relationship with some of them that may want to sell later. It's a little bit longer. Now, with a notice of sales, this is typically a month before the sale actually takes place. This can be close to the property getting closed on or foreclosed on. So we've got to be careful about that. So you can go pre-foreclosure of either one, notice of sale or notice of default. So knowing a property is in pre-foreclosure simply is not enough. Okay, I know a property is in pre-foreclosure. And knowing if somebody's an out-of-state owner but has no equity, it's going to be an opportunity to help them. So what I like to look at is single-family homes, condos, townhouses, not listed on the MLS, less than $500,000 with $30,000 more of equity that is in a pre-foreclosure status, meaning notice of sale or notice of default. Okay, so the question is, how are we going to do this? But before we do, Angel is saying, I'm in Atlanta and I'm interested in flipping homes. You are in the right place. Thanks for being with us. So how do you do this? Well, you put an area in, like let's say Houston. If you're a member, you've got access to our Investor's Edge. We start creating some buckets that we'll show you here, and then you build a list. So let's head right over to our browser and we can start showing you what's going on here. Okay, here we go. So let's just come here. We're just going to go Houston, Texas. So Angel, you want to start flipping houses. Let's just talk about this. Let's just say you were in Houston. Let's just see here. Texas. No, let's go. Let's see. Let's just, well, let's just say, okay, Atlanta, Georgia. Sorry, I spelled that wrong. I don't know. Houston, I was spelling it wrong or had a problem there. So let's just say Atlanta, Georgia, because Roche is one of my favorites. So this is Atlanta, Georgia. Up here at the top, we've got some preset buckets for you. So there's 6,009 vacant properties, but they're not just vacant. They are single families. I clicked on it, so they're all going to come over here. But if you want to look at the exact filter, they're vacant. They're residential, they're single family, condo, or townhouse. There's no duplexes. If you add duplexes, there's more of these. They're owned it for at least a year, and it's $500,000 or more, and they've got 30% more or more of equity. There's 6,000 of those. There may be some duplicates in here. Then you've got 2,694. These are liens, involuntary liens. And so we built all these buckets out. You've got your bankruptcy. You're starting to see some more pre-foreclosures here. There's 1,498 pre-foreclosures that are going on here. So that's good. Now let's make sure we've got enough on this. They've got 30% more of equity. They're under $500,000. They've got a notice of default on these properties. Well, that's great. So now what I want to do, let's just say I want to do all of Atlanta. If not, I could do some zip codes. I come here and I just simply select all the properties, and I can select them all if I want to, and then I add it to a list. And I can just create a new list. So this will be our test finding pre-foreclosure. Let's just make a list there. Looks like I got a 4 in there because I did a fat fingered it. So we make this list, right? So there's 3 properties on here. And then what I can do is I can come and do a skip trace. I can select those contacts that I just made out of that group. I can come down and find where it's at. This is my demo account, guys, so you got to bear with me. I've got a whole bunch of stuff on here. Let's see, 24 years. I don't know where we just save those to. They're on here. Let's just do this live cast one. So we've got this, and then we can end up selecting that, add to contacts, do this, and then we can pay for it, and we can actually get a phone number. Now this one I've already done, so you can see all the phone numbers that are just right here, so I can make phone calls to them. So basically go through that process, and then you can call and say, hey, I was wondering if you're interested in selling your property. The other thing you can do is start a campaign. With that campaign, you can put some groups together and that type of stuff. But with that campaign, what you can also do is send postcards. So you want to start a campaign. We'll just call this one test. And the group name, I don't know, we'll just go with one of these first ones just right here. We'll save that, and then we can actually start doing some postcards here. So we can send out postcards to these guys at all. What I'm trying to show you is the opportunity that's here if you're dealing with this, because we want to make sure we've got a way to contact them, which is doing the skip trace, making the phone calls. We also want to make sure we're working with a list that we want. So if we come back here to the search, we want to make sure there's equity, and we want to make sure there's motivation, which is why we are using this very service, which is Investor's Edge. If you have some interest in that, let us know, and we can help you out with Investor's Edge if you're not currently a member. Okay, so you build a list, you check on the list, you create your list, you name it. We kind of went through this, and then you want to market to these guys. So you want to make phone calls to them, send postcards to them. It will take time and effort to find a great deal. It just will. So I tell people 10 to 15 hours a week, 20 weeks of consecutive work. It may take 30 to find one deal. But the great news is that deal could be worth anywhere from 10 to 50,000 or maybe even $92,000. So there's a lot of opportunity that's sitting there. We just need to tap into it. Okay, guys, that was our finding tip of the week. If you enjoyed it, type it in the comments and say, Ryan, I loved it. I really would appreciate and love to know that. And we're going to jump into our next segment here. All right, guys, this is the main event. This is what you've been waiting for. This is what you came for. And we're going to jump right into this. The house flipping process from beginning to end. Okay, what you're going to learn today is the 13 steps of doing a fix and flip, setting up the map, the roadmap, like I like to call it, for your success, and what most people don't take into account when getting started as a fix and flipper. We're going to jump into all that. So I have 13 steps for this house flipping process from beginning to end, and I am not going to wait any longer. Number one is education. Okay, education, understanding the different types of flips. There's wholesales, there's retails, there's bird deals. There's many different types of flips, and you've got to understand the differences of those, wholesale, retail. We also want to talk about how hard money works. If you're not familiar with how the loan works, how the money works, those types of things, you can get yourself in some trouble. You also need to learn how to value properties. The proper way to value properties can make a world of difference. Then you need to know how much you can pay for a property, because if I know the property's worth $300,000, how much can I really pay for that property? And that includes how much work needs to be done to the property. So that's number one, is this education. There's a lot that goes into that, and that's where you need to start. Second thing you need to do is you need to line up hard money. You need to find a lender that will lend you the purchase and some or all of the rehab money. That's not easy to do. So you've got to find somebody that's willing to do that. And I've put together some questions that you need to ask a hard money lender to make sure you're working with the right person. Like, what loan to value do you lend to? Is that as is value, or is that after repaired value, or ARV? Will you lend up to 100% of the purchase if it is under that loan to value? Will you lend up to 100% of the purchase and the rehab money if it's under that loan to value, meaning I found a really, really good deal? Do you require monthly payments? Do you care about credit score? These are all questions you need to be asking anybody you're thinking about working with as a hard money lender. Then the other thing is you need to get pre-approved with the lender. Understand what properties they are willing to lend on, what properties they aren't willing to lend on, so that you can know if it's a property and it meets their criteria, you're going to have a great chance of that deal closing. Okay, step number 3 in this A to Z is finding properties. Next, you've got to figure out how you're going to actually find a property so that you can make some money on that. And so what you do is you create a new property roadmap. This is basically reverse engineering your success. In the end, if you want to find a profitable deal, you need to find out how many contacts you need to make, how many offers you need to make, how many seller appointments you need to go on, how many prospects you need to talk to, how many conversations you need to have, how many leads you need to get. When you do that, you can reverse engineer your success. And what you want to do is map that out. How to identify those properties, how much time you're going to spend driving, how much time you're going to spend calling, how many hours per week, how many weeks it will take you to actually find a deal. And then if you have that mapped out and you reverse engineered your success, statistically, if you do these activities every week, at the end, you're going to end up with a property. And what I find is most people think it's super easy to find a property. And no, it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of time. And you've got to have some consistency to make that happen. So identify the area you should be investing in, because you want to go where most of the flips are actually happening. So to do that, you need to get some area information. And that starts with statistics, understanding the price growth and the days on market, the average month's rents, the listing versus the sales price, the days on market, Those are all things you want to be looking at, the listing trend, the sales trends, to make some determinations as to which zip codes or which counties should you be investing in. The next thing is do some analytics, by the area and getting some heat maps so that you can understand where you want to be investing. And then we start this targeted list. We do some mashup lists. For example, we do like out-of-state owners of single-family houses, less than $500,000, but more than $100,000 with more than $50,000 worth of equity. Those are people we actually want to be going after as long as they are not listed on the multiple listing services. That's a great list we want to be targeting. But one of my favorite ways of finding properties is called driving for dollars, where you drive and you find distressed properties. You tag these properties saying this is a property that I'm concerned about, and then you start moving into the next phase, which is phase 4, where we start getting into marketing. Okay, so marketing is the whole thing of getting in touch with somebody that may have some interest. And so you found some opportunities, either driving for dollars or you put some mashup lists together. Now we need to talk to them. So how will you talk with them, right? So you can skip trace and you can get their phone number and then you can call them. You can set that up in a phone dialer. And then you can also send some postcards to them, or you could only send postcards to them, or you can make calls. Personally, I like making calls. That's my recommendation to everyone. Also, you could knock on the doors and say, hey, are you interested in selling your property? Is something get ready for a lot of rejection is probably what I should say, because it takes a lot of work to find the right person that's willing to sell the property that's going to work for everyone. Step 5, we start talking to the seller. So we've identified, we've reverse engineered we've done our education, we found our hard money lender, we've reverse engineered our success. We've gone out there and started to find properties through mashups or through driving for dollars. And now we're saying, now we got to actually talk to these guys, okay? So what do you say to somebody when they call you? What do you say if they're upset? What do you say if they're interested? Those are the types of things you've got to know and you've got to understand with this. And so I like to say, hey, my name's Ryan. I'm calling about 123 Main Street. Wonder if you'd have some interest in selling it. If they're upset, you say, hey, I'm really sorry. If they're not interested, I say, do you know anybody else that's interested in selling a property? Or do you have any others you'd be interested in selling? So I always like to end with that. So now we jump into step number 6, which is actually valuing the properties. Because if you don't know what the property's worth, you can get yourself in big trouble really fast. And so we need to know how to value this property. What will this property sell for once fixed up? What is it worth as is? How much will it wholesale for? Those are things we need to know. How do I pull comps? What is a good comp? What isn't a good comp? How do I make adjustments when I'm dealing with situations with extra bedrooms or extra bathrooms? Those are all things that you need to know. What should I pay for this property also goes into consideration as we talk about this as well. Next, offering and negotiating is going to be step 7. So now we've talked to somebody, they have some interest. What do you offer them? How much negotiation? How do you negotiate? How do you do the paperwork? What contracts you are going to need to make this happen are all things you've got to understand and know so you be successful. One of the things we've done is put an advanced deal analysis software together to help you solve these things, because it can get a little complicated. Step number 8 is scoping the property. Now let's say the seller said, yes, I want to sell, and you guys have came to an agreement, you've got the right contracts. Now you've got to scope and do the bids. And what scope basically means is understanding the work that needs to be done on the property. And so whether that's doing a BRRRR deal or you're reselling the property, you need to know how to find great contractors. You need to know how to get bids from those contractors. You need to know how to work with multiple contractors. Those all are included in that. And then we get into step number 9, which is going to be the inspections, okay? Do you need a structural engineer? Do you need an electrical inspection? Those are all things you need to be asking yourself, so additional inspections need to be made prior to the time you purchase the property, so that if there is a problem, you're gonna know about it and can renegotiate with seller or make the decision it's worth doing anyway, or walk away from the deal if that is the best thing for you to do as well. You've got to have those options. And then we get into vetting the contractor. And again, this needs to happen before you buy the property because we want to make sure the contractor's good. We want to make sure they know what they're doing. We want to make sure they've done similar jobs. We want to make sure they have a track record. We want to make sure they're licensed. We want to make sure they have lines of credit, those types of things. And I've actually put an entire training together on how to properly vet a contractor. You can check that out on YouTube. DoHardMoney, how to properly vet a contractor. Well worth your time. So with contractors, how long have they been in business? Do they have references? Do they have lines of credit with supply houses? Those are all things we've got to take into consideration. Okay, step number 9, processing and closing. Processing and closing, once we've gotten through all these things, that's where we're getting our hazard insurance and our title insurance. We're doing our loan applications, getting our termite inspections. We're gathering all the documents that are necessary to have this closing actually happen, our purchase contract. And then we actually close on the loan. We get everything, the hard money lender, they get everything approved, and we actually have the loan closing. That's where we're getting to in this point. Now, step number 12 is construction management. Now we've got the money, we've closed on it. Now we've got to make sure the work actually gets done. We've got our scope of work, we've vetted our contractor, and so we've got to manage this. We've got to put a weekly schedule together of work. We've got to be at the property at least weekly for those inspections. We've got to turn in draws so the lender can make those contractors actually get paid. We've got to get the work done. We've got to resolve the problems as they actually come in. And step number 13, which is our final step in this whole process, is listing and reselling the property. This is how we're actually getting our payday. So we've got to interview and identify great agents. We've got to get the property listed. We have to have professional pictures throughout the property and determine, does this property need to get staged or not? We need to be doing regular price reductions, and we need to put that property under contract on the resale when we're reselling that property, and also knowing what fees we're going to have in selling that property when it comes time for the resale. So all of that comes into this, and then we actually have our resale closing. So these are the 13 steps of house flipping from beginning to end. Let's recap them all now. Number 1, there's education. Number 2 is hard money, knowing who's going to lend you the money. Number 3 is finding the properties. Number 4 is marketing to the owners of these properties. Number 5 is talking to the sellers. Number 6 is valuing these properties. Number 7 is offering and negotiating. Number 8 is the scope and the bid, so you know what's going to be happening for the construction. Number 9 is inspections to make sure there's nothing on the property you didn't know about. Number 10 is vetting the contractor. Number 11 is processing and closing the property. Number 12 is the construction project management. And number 13 is listing and reselling the property. These are the 13 steps for you to have a successful real estate fix and flip from beginning to end. All right, guys, we've got a couple of comments I need to jump back to. Cynthia is in North Carolina. Awesome. I am Durham, 20 minutes from Raleigh. All right. DoHardMoney, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for being with us. Jose saying, at which point is the property search? Should I start the hard money search? I think, Jose, you need to start the hard money search before you start a property search, and here's why. Hard money lenders are not going to lend on everything. My experience is I went out and found a property, and then I went to try and find a lender, and they wouldn't lend on the property I found. And I was really disappointed because I spent 6 months finding a property, and they said, no, I don't want to do that because I don't like the area, or I don't like the price range, or I don't like this. And then so I got really frustrated, and finally I went back to the hard money lenders and said, what will you lend on? What won't you lend on? And then I went and found properties that worked for that. So I think it's really important that you know how much the money is going to cost you, what the hard money lender is willing to lend on, what they're not willing to lend on, and then with that you can go find properties, because the last thing you want to do, Jose, is find properties that hard money lenders are not willing to lend on. And that may surprise you, but that happens frequently, and you want to avoid that and avoid all the pain of finding a property and not being able to get it done. So recommend that you reverse the order of that and get your hard money lender approval and ready to go. The other thing with that, Jose, is a lot of sellers are going to want to know that you're approved and you've got the cash ready to go, which having your hard money lender arranged can help with that and getting you a proof of funds letter so that can happen. So if you did all that right, then you actually get paid. And that's when the final payday comes into the equation. All right, guys, if you have enjoyed this and if you would like to get our complete system that takes brand new investors through flipping their first home, check out our Find Fund Flip system. Our Find Fund Flip system has dozens of hours of training, deal finding software, access to our 100% financing loans. You can check us out at DoHardMoney.com/get started. Love to have you check things out there. I promised this earlier. If you'd like to get a copy of our contractor estimate, we have spent years putting this together. All you got to do is text me your email address to 435-294-0433. Again, text me 435-294-0433. And we will shoot a copy of that over to you. Now, if you've enjoyed this live cast like Cynthia has, and I hope there's more of you that have, type in the comments, I'd love to know, please hit that subscribe button. And if you're a new subscriber and haven't yet said hello, type it in the comments so I can give a shout out and a thank you to you. The other thing is, love to have you leave a comment. This video will become recorded and will be posted tomorrow. Love for you to have the recording, leave a comment on the recorded video. If you haven't already, text me your email address and I'm going to send you over that contractor estimate. Text me your email address to 435-294-0433. All right, guys, future topics. What are some future topics you would like to know about? I've got several that are on the screen right now, but if there's something you'd like to know, type it in the comments now or in the comments on the recorded video, and I'll take a look at those and I put content together based upon what you guys like to see. Larry says, very informative. Thanks. You bet, Larry. I appreciate it and appreciate you being with us and hope you have subscribed with us. All right, guys, if you've enjoyed what you've heard, I also have a podcast. It's called the Income Hacker Podcast. Check it out. It's on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you don't, highly recommend you start listening to some podcasts. And the one I recommend is Income Hacker. So if you haven't check that out, please go ahead and subscribe to Income Hacker as well. Roche says, well done. Roche, you're fantastic. Appreciate you being with us. Subscribe, ring the bell, leave a review. All right. Thank you, guys. Okay, it is time. You guys have all been waiting for this, patiently waiting for this. It is time to find out who our t-shirt winner of the week is. We are going to announce that right now, but before Jose says, thank you, great info. Appreciate you being with us, Jose. Okay, who is going to be our t-shirt winner of the week? We need a drum roll, please. Our winner of the week for last week's winner. Reminder, everything from the start of this till next week will become the next week's winner of the week, so you're competing for that. The winner of the week is LaWanda Knight. LaWanda, if you were here, please say hello in the chat, and we would love to get you your shirt. Thank you for your participation last week. LaWanda, what I need to have you do is email us at support@DoHardMoney.com. Put in the subject line, you are the shirt winner. Give us your screen name or your real name, your mailing address, your cell phone number, and your shirt size. We need to add one more thing to this. I need to know which shirt you would prefer. We'll get you the closest. We want to get your size right. So we'll get you whatever we can in the size, but if you got a couple of shirts you like, we'll do our best to get those to you as well. Okay, so James is saying, how do I find hard money lenders? James, I recommend you check out DoHardMoney.com and see if we can help you out, because we'd love to help you if that's a good fit. And if not, I've got a few things on finding some other hard money lenders that aren't as good as us, but you can check those out. Some of the things you can do is check with your local real estate investment clubs, talk with other investors. There's several things that you could be doing, but hopefully we could be a good fit for you. Okay, Trace says, this was great. Thanks. Thank you so much for being with us. Now, for all of you that have been participating today, and those that will be watching this and participating through the week, if you want to find out if you're the t-shirt winner, please join us next week, and we'll be announcing this week's t-shirt winner. And if you haven't already, please text me your email address, 435-294-0433, and I will send you over that contractor estimate sheet. Literally, guys, I've spent over a decade working on this, improving it with some really great people, and so I highly recommend it. And follow Nick's one. He just texted me his email address so we can get that contractor estimate sheet over to him. Thanks, Nix. Really appreciate it. Okay, guys, if you have enjoyed this, please join us next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am going to be covering investing versus speculating, the differences in both of these. Are you wanting to invest? Are you wanting to speculate? What are the difference and everything about it in between? I'll be covering it same time, same place next week, Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You will want to be here. And if you haven't already, get a copy of that contractor estimate sheet. Text me your email address to 435-294-0433. Thank you so many of you for being with me this week. I really appreciate it. I love being with you, and we will see you same time, same place next week. Make it a very profitable day, and bye for now.